Hey, everybody. Welcome to All There Is. I'm your host, Kelly Bargabos. And today is a special episode. Normally, my podcasts are all audio only. Today, I'm doing a special video, and you'll see why in a few minutes. I have a really special guest with me today, Craig Anderson, who's an award-winning artist, watercolorist, painter, and also my husband. So he's joining us today because we are going to continue our conversation about homelessness in America. The entire month of November, if you've listened to all of the previous podcast episodes that I've posted, they've all been centered around this theme of homelessness in America. And it is because November is Homelessness Awareness Month. But, really every night of the year in America, there are more than 500,000 people who are experiencing homelessness on our streets. So we shouldn't only talk about it in November, but we've been taking this opportunity to hopefully build some awareness, to build some understanding, to build some empathy. And I also thought it's really great timing today, this Sunday afternoon, to share this with you because we're heading into the giving season, right? We're heading into the holidays. We just had Black Friday. Monday is Cyber Monday. Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. And so there is an awful lot of generosity in giving this time of year. And I think it's really appropriate to share this project that we have with you today. And I think it'll all become apparent and you'll see why. So that's my big intro. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me on your program. And I'm excited to share what we've been doing kind of behind the scenes for upwards of like 2 years, I would say, 2 to 3 years, between actually painting the paintings and putting the stories together. So I'm really excited to unleash this to the public and see what traction we can have.
Yeah, so let's dive right into this project that we keep talking about. And you're right, it was about 3 years ago on a November night. I know you remember it. And we were living at our house in San Diego. And one of our favorite ways to spend the night is to cook together, open a bottle of wine, put some music on. And I know this particular night, it was actually a November night. We were drinking wine, listening to jazz music, cooking dinner. And you had just come in from your studio with a painting, one of your latest paintings that you did. And I'm going to show it in a minute. But you came in with that painting, and I know almost immediately I had a story in my head. I had a couple of sentences in the voice of this imagined character. And I think I shared it with you. And I think I'm a writer, and I had been working on microfiction for something. I don't know if it was a class or I was submitting something, but I was kind of in this microfiction mode. And I don't know what it was, but your painting just struck me. I had a story almost immediately, and you and I kept talking, and we got really excited about this idea of pairing art with words and pairing art with stories, and how that could be a really powerful way to share, to connect, to bring awareness and empathy to perhaps people in our country who normally don't have a voice, who feel invisible. In this case, it's people experiencing homelessness. I know that night we talked about, maybe there's other ways that we could use this, and we call it scene and story. We came up with this name for this technique or this approach. And so since that night 3 years ago, we've continued to work on this project, and now Craig has painted 15 original paintings, all depicting fictional characters who are experiencing homelessness in different ways in the streets of our country. And each one of those 15 paintings is paired with an original story of mine. Again, all fiction. None of these are portraits of actual people, but they were all inspired by photographs that Craig took.
Yeah.
So now that is the big intro, and I'll stop talking for a minute and give Craig a chance to say something. Do you want to talk at all about
So
this project, or you want me to show the first painting?
well, I just wanted to say too, to add on to Kelly's intro, um, they always say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I completely agree. Being a visual artist, um, but when the painting is paired with an actual, um, with the actual words, it becomes even more impressive, really more important. And I think you'll get that as we go through each painting that's paired with the micro story. It's really powerful, and each one on its own is very powerful. But when they're combined, there's something special happens. So I hope
Yeah.
you feel that too, moving forward. But the the first painting that Kelly talked about, we were down in New York City maybe a few months before that, and I was going through some of my pictures, and it's up on the screen right now, and that's what's the name of it?
Down for the night.
Yeah, Down for the Night. And so this is by Times Square, and this person was getting ready to sleep, obviously because they're homeless and they're finding a good spot for that night. And the juxtaposition of where they actually chose to lay down for that night was in front of a door of a very high class store that maybe only 5 to 7% of all Americans can afford to shop at. And I just thought it was really odd and weird, and really really wild that this person decided to stay the night outside of such an opulent place where they hardly have any possessions, and they're more or less just nomads around the street, trying to find that one safe spot for that solitary night. So just the fact that they were doing it right outside of such an opulent place, they go 12 to 14 inches, and everything within those walls are, it's like Oz for them, but out here on the streets, it's real, it's gritty, and they're looking for just safety that one night. And when I was looking through the pictures, this is the painting that I came in that night, and this kind of started everything off. It started that conversation that Kelly and I had, and that has spearheaded everything up to this point. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was the painting that came in, and the one that I just had a little story for. And when I say story, I literally mean just a couple of sentences. And I'm not going to share them all with you tonight, because we are going to share a project trailer at the end of this episode so you can hear them all. But this one that is called Down for the Night was this. I like to settle right here with my cart close by. There's a little ledge, so I feel like I'm off the ground. My friends are still out. Say it's prime time. Not me. I got my blanket and this box for my pillow. I'm down for the night. So I want to move on to the next painting here. This one was, I think, maybe the second one in the series that you painted.
right.
And, when you did it, I thought it was so powerful. And I thought you just captured the weariness of this person, is just what came through. And that's how it ended up with the title. It's actually the first one in the book now that we've put together, but the title of it is called No Rest for the Weary. So can you tell everybody what you saw as the artist, why you took a picture like this, and how you brought that emotion to life?
The first thing that strikes you obviously is, this man is homeless, and he has all of his own possessions in that one solitary cart. think about gathering up all your possessions, everything that's important to you in life, and being able to put them in one cart. I don't know of many people that would be able to do that. And I believe Kelly and I moved not too much before that point. And I can just remember, putting everything in boxes, how much stuff you accumulate over the years. And it really struck me with this person how, he has his blankets, his pillows, whatever he's sleeping on, and then all of his most important things in life in that one cart. And as you can see, the cart isn't very filled up either. It's half empty. So it just struck me how intimate this guy was with his possessions, and how he was just moving on to whatever life gave him here in the next chapter of life.
Yeah. That was great. Thank you. And I will read this one too, because just after hearing you explain it, I think it will speak to our listeners. No rest for the weary. Blankets and cardboard mostly. Some empty bottles to fill with water when I get a chance. It gets old pushing this damn cart everywhere I go, but I don't have a choice. I need my stuff. You know what they say, there's no rest for the weary. Or is it wicked? Either way, I guess it fits. And, I want to say too, there's a quote that I found sometime as we were working on this project. And I think it's so fitting because these images in this collection are so raw, so gritty, so powerful. And, they're images of people and subjects really in crisis, suffering. They're suffering. And, sometimes that can be hard for people to look at. And, I think we as human beings have a tendency to look away when we see people in pain or in suffering. But I think it's really important. Brene Brown actually has shared a quote about this, and I know I'm going to butcher it, but something about how her mother taught them that when you see someone in pain or you see someone in suffering, don't look away, look them in the eye and, and connect with them. And I think that's so powerful. And then it was Elizabeth Brown who said, art is not always about pretty things. It's about who we are, what happened to us, and how our lives are affected. And I think that really speaks to this project that we're sharing today. And so I'm going to move on to the next painting that I wanted to talk about. This one is called Clean Shaven. And this one, I actually took the picture and I was on my way to work one day. I worked in downtown San Diego, and I was, I think, stopped at a street light waiting to make my turn to get to the office. And I looked to my left and I saw this man standing in front of a dirty, grimy window of a business that wasn't open yet. And he was obviously living on the streets. He had his cart and he was looking in the glass and he was shaving. And that one just really struck me that, we all have those things that make us feel human. For some people that they can't get up and start their day before they have their coffee. They can't get up and start their day before they shower or have their prayer time or meditation, whatever it is. And it just struck me that even someone like this man, who obviously is in a really tough place, had this habit that he did, I imagined, this daily habit of shaving. And maybe that one little act made him feel like a human that day. So I came home and this isn't Craig's favorite way of being inspired to paint because, he likes to get his own inspiration. But I came home and shared it with him. And, he was able to create this painting of a man doing exactly as I had described and told him about. Anything you want to add to that, Craig, or what you were thinking when you painted this one?
No, right. I was, like you said, the way I usually paint is look at visual cues and then start the painting, where I had to listen to you. I think in this one, you almost had your story already figured out, and I had to work opposite
Mm-hmm.
and really reverse engineer this back to a visual painting.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I think this is the
it
only
was,
one in
it
the
was
collection where
yeah,
we
it
did
was a
that.
different process for me, but
Yeah.
I still think it came out very successful and very powerful.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I didn't do at the beginning of this was just spend any time at all explaining a little bit more to our reader or our listeners, some background on you and I and why this crisis of homelessness is so important to us. I know for me, I'll only speak for myself. It's something that has always tugged at my heart, but I've never lived on the streets, but I had a brother. My brother Bobby ran away from home when he was 16 and he lived on the streets for 5 years. And so I know what it's like to love someone that is out there on the streets and you don't know where they are. You don't know where they're living. You can't get in touch with them. When my brother was homeless, it was in the early 90s. So nobody had cell phones yet. And I would go weeks and weeks and weeks without ever hearing from him. And I would go to bed at night and wonder, did he have any place to sleep? Did he eat that day? Was he safe? Was he cold? Was anybody kind to him that day? And, you know, our story ended well. He eventually came home and was able to return to a better way of life. And we've been very blessed in that. But I've never lost that feeling of knowing what it's like. And I know sometimes when you and I are out walking around cities and we pass by people on the street, there are many times where I'll see a man and he reminds me of my brother. And I
Mhm.
can't help but go up to him and try to talk to him. And it's just something that's never left me. And so it will always be something that's very important to me, something that I feel like we can solve as a nation. Like we are smart people. There's half a million people experiencing homelessness in our country on any given night, but I feel like even though the reasons are complicated and it's a really complex problem to solve, I feel like we can do it. So I'll never stop working with people who are doing things towards that end. But that's me. And Craig, do you want to share a little bit about um, what this means to you and why?
Yeah, growing up in a very small town, one stoplight at the time, there was nobody living on the streets there. I went into the Navy, and that's how I found myself living in San Diego, which is, if you've ever been there, it's gorgeous, sunny, one of the best places you could think about living.
America's
But
finest city, right? Isn't
yeah,
that its
America's
tagline? Yeah.
that's their tagline. And given that there are so many homeless, and if you're going to be homeless, San Diego's not a bad choice. But over the years that I was there, I spent 35 years in San Diego, and it just seemed that the amount of homeless just increased in the nth degree. And we as a nation, just to echo what Kelly was talking about, I feel that we need to do something, and we need to help these people in some way. You know, there's a quote, and I don't know whoever said it, and I'm not even sure if it's true, but where they say, everybody's 2 months away from being homeless, and I can see that. Or go 5 months without a paycheck. Where are you going to be? If
Right.
you don't have parents, if you don't have a support group, or a family that's going to help you out,
Yeah.
you miss 5 or 6 paychecks, you're on the street. And that's how much of a balance this thing called life is. And you don't know about, the 2 or 3 people you just walk by that are sitting there, asking for food, or they're on the streets. You don't know what issues they've been through and what hardships they've went through. So we always want to, think about that and not just say, oh, these people are lazy and they don't want to work or anything. There's a lot that comes to that with somebody becoming homeless, you know.
Right. And I think you touched on, loss of job, affordable housing, in a place like San Diego where affordable housing, I mean, it is really tough for people making a good wage to afford housing in San Diego. So that is definitely one of the big contributors, but also mental illness, addiction, sickness, disability. It's one of the reasons that makes it such a complicated problem to solve is because there is no one thing that causes the crisis of homelessness in someone's life. But all right, let's move on to the next painting. Oh, someday. I know this one. You have some things to share about this. Can you tell our listeners why you painted this? What struck you when you saw this person?
Well, being a visual artist, the light is something that really attracts me. Um, so this was at twilight, and the angle of the sun was really low, so you get really long cast shadows, and just the colors that surrounded this person really capture me, and that they weren't looking at me. I had no engagement with them, and they were just almost like they were thinking about, you know, I don't know if it's their next meal or they were working out their problems. It almost seemed to me, and that's kind of what I wanted to convey is what this person kind of is thinking, or that they were involved in something. Even right there on the streets, you can develop a plan. You can maybe find out or strategize, your next move.
Hmm. Right. This is one of your newer ones in the collection, one of the
Mhm.
last few that you painted, and we've titled it Mother. And I know for me, when you painted this, what I felt immediately was that you just captured the fierceness in this mother's eyes, in her soul, the fierceness that she felt for her family and protecting them.
Right.
And there's nobody who was going to mess with this woman and her family.
Right.
I don't care where she is or what she's up against, and she's obviously in pain and struggling. But man, she is just in fierce mama mode. And maybe you could talk a little bit about, from an artistic standpoint, your technique and how you were able to do that in such a powerful way.
Yeah. So this one is a little bit different than some of the other paintings in the series, where I actually poured this painting, meaning that I didn't use any brushes or anything until the very end for details. Excuse me. But I actually mask off certain areas, and then I do 2 or 3 pours to actually build up the color. And that's why there's kind of a glow with this one. It's a little bit different than directly painting watercolor. And I chose to, even though there's a child in the stroller there, I didn't want that to be the main point. I wanted, the mother to really have the emphasis in the painting. That's why there's such dramatic value change there, because I want you to look at her face. And if you look at her face, probably 2/3 of it is in shadow, but the third that is highlighted, you can tell what's going on there. You can tell the emotion, the struggle, um, you know, how much trouble life has been for this person. But she has her family and she has her foundation, and nobody's going to take that from her.
Yeah, yeah, it's really, really powerful. All right. Oh, this one. This was another of the newer ones that finished the collection, and we've titled it "Shame on Me." And this one in Mother, I think, took me the longest to get the story to pair with it. And I I got when the from the moment I saw the painting, I knew what I wanted to say, but it took me a minute to figure out how to say it because what I saw from this painting, what I felt was heaviness. Like that this person just was feeling the weight of the world, the weight of his world, and it was almost too much to bear. So, that's what
Yeah.
I felt. How about you? What inspired you to paint this? What did you feel?
It's for me when I saw, this poor gentleman, like you said, you see the heaviness, you see the pressure in his world. We didn't have a conversation with him, so we don't know exactly what those pressures were, but you could just see just by the body language, how much pressure he was in and you can almost jump in his body and just kind of hear what he's saying, like, how am I going to get through this? How is this going to work out?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. All right. I think I've got one more. I think this is the last one I'm going to share in our episode today until we get to the full trailer. But this one is called Sounds of the Street. And I know this one had a lot of meaning for you. So I'm going to let you talk about it and explain it to our listeners.
yeah, we were just driving around the city. We weren't expecting anything. And then this gentleman, as you can see, not only has one guitar, but two guitars. And when he turned around, he was wild, like feral. His eyes, when they locked onto mine, they were wildness. And he used these guitars and his music to, you know, find breakfast, find lunch, find dinner. He used those as tools to get through the day. But also, he was barely hanging on. He
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. That one was amazing. And actually, that one painting, that one image or subject, I guess, inspired two paintings in the collection. So we
Right.
had that one, Sounds of the Street, and then we have one called Guitar Man, where you actually had a different artistic interpretation of the same subject.
Yeah, and I probably snapped the actual photos maybe 2 or 3 seconds apart, but the way I handled each one is completely different, and you get a completely different feeling from that one and the other one of the same subject.
Yeah. And that, I also want to be sure to mention too that um, all of these figures, I think I said it at the beginning, but they're not actual portraits of people. They were inspired by photographs you did take of scenes and people, but, with your artistic license, and sometimes you take pieces of one photograph and some from another, and
Mhm.
they come together to form the finished painting, which is true of all your painting,
Right.
right? So I just want to make sure that people know that these are not actual portraits. These are not actual people. That is all fictional subjects and fictional stories that we created.
And we're
And
not trying to put words in anybody's mouth.
right,
It's more of a portrayal on our part to get the message across and to
right.
bring help and awareness to this epidemic that is homelessness. And um,
Yeah.
I know we're getting to it, but we have published a book that's going to be for sale on my website and on Facebook. If
And
on Facebook,
Amazon.
Amazon, Amazon.
We'll put it on Facebook
You
too.
want to just go directly there. But the book itself, every book, $20 will go to helping the homeless, making, hopefully taking somebody off the streets for a night or two or a week or whatever it takes to get them back on the right path, and just give them that little help that, they may need.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. So sorry, I
and
didn't mean
there,
to cut you
there
off.
are the originals are available as well as prints. If you want to a print of a certain image, you can just go there, put in what size you want. You can, even choose the framing if you so deem. But bottom line, I just want to let you know that, and I'm really excited about the project that we're doing, and we're asking for your help to help homelessness and help us fight this. And this is just one step that we thought that we could help out. And, we're asking for your help to, buy the books, buy the prints, or donate to your local homeless shelter if, these items don't speak to you. But either way, they definitely need some help.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, as Craig said, CraigAndersonFineArt.com is your website, correct?
Yes.
And if you go to his website, the actual homepage has this collection. We're calling it All There Is, Homelessness in America in Scene and Story. So that collection of original artwork is all together on his website. His website's really amazing. He had a great website designer, developer wife who did all that work for him.
Can that be you?
But the original artwork is all there, and it is for sale. The website has some really cool features. If you do check out a particular painting that you're interested in, they are all available in prints, which is a little more budget friendly. And like Craig said, you can get it framed or not framed, and you can have it sent right to your house. But, we put this book together because we thought it was a great way for people to have all the images in one place paired with the stories, because that is really where we feel the power is. It's definitely affordable. It's for sale on Amazon for $25. And like Craig said, all of the profits from this entire project, whether it's from the sale of original artwork, prints, or this book on Amazon, every single dollar that we earn over and above what Amazon charges us is going to be donated to organizations that we know are serving those in crisis and those that are experiencing homelessness in America. So please check it out. We hope that you love it. We hope that the powerful images and stories speak to you that the way they did to us. And we really appreciate you listening today and giving us your time to watch this episode. Craig is extremely talented in his painting. I'm talented in some things. Technology and live streaming is maybe not our forte, but we attempted to put this video together in a way that would allow us to share it with you. And actually, we want you to go to CraigAndersonFineArt.com, go to Amazon, look up All There Is by Craig Anderson and Kelly Bargabos, and you'll be able to buy it and help us in this project. We believe that work like this has eternal significance. And so we're passionate about it, and we thank you for joining us in this. And so now I am going to attempt to play the project trailer that we put together. It has all of the images in it. It has all of the stories, and it will really give you a taste for what you'll get if you buy the book. And if I screw it up, the video trailer is on Craig's website. So again, CraigAndersonFineArt.com, there's a video tab, and you can go to it and see the full trailer without my interruption. So we'll let the video end our episode today. Again, thank you for joining us. And Craig, do you want to say any parting words before I?
I just wanted to say, thank you for, staying with us and listening to our message. And, I hope that you can lend a hand and, and help your brother or sister that's on the streets that's this far away from, getting to that next level. And I think that's all we need to do is just, everybody needs a hand now and then. And I think, if we give somebody just this much, it might be that much to get them to that next level, and, we'll help them to the next chapter. So thank you again. And we appreciate all your help. moving forward. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.